Have you been experiencing exhaustion, maybe even shortness of breath, maybe feeling anxious for no real reason? Well, these are just a few of the signs of iron deficiency, and you can do something about it today to reverse those conditions. In fact, this week's Take Action Thursday, Allison Massey is registered dietitian with Mercy, and she is joining us with the iron deficiency. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning. So there's some signs out there, you know, and it's something that is a slow progression. It's not something that changes overnight.
Correct. And, you know, iron's really important because it helps the body build hemoglobin. And hemoglobin's a protein that helps the red blood cells carry oxygen. So a lot of these signs and symptoms are related to kind of lower oxygen levels.
And I guess the end result of this, I mean, can be pretty significant, though, if you let this go on. And it's mainly the reason why you're a dietitian, it's mainly diet is the cause of this.
Yeah, and there can be other medical conditions that contribute to iron deficiency and anemia as well. So certainly if someone has some kind of GI bleed or even certain types of cancer like colon cancer, iron levels might be lower.
Okay, some of the main symptoms I know that we have on there, we have a list of about 10 of them. We're going to kind of go through them in no really particular order, but exhaustion was one of the first signs. Is that the #1 thing that you're hearing?
Yeah, fatigue, which that's a hard one because we feel fatigued generally in life sometimes, I think. And that has to do with, you know, the tissues aren't getting enough oxygen. You also might kind of notice some things like shortness of breath with activities that you normally have no problem doing. So walking up and down the stairs, things like that.
Right, and there's some other ones too that are in there. I saw, and one of them particularly applies to women. Heavier periods is a problem. And this, normally iron deficiency, when I first started reading about it, I just assumed it was just a woman's thing.
Right, and women do need more iron than younger men. So that's something that's quite different, and it's because of that monthly cycle. It's something that women should talk to their GYN about if they are kind of noticing something that seems abnormal.
And I saw some of the statistics. Women 19 to 50, they need 18 milligrams daily of iron. What does that mean? What does that equate to?
Well, it probably depends on what they're eating. And there's food sources of iron. We absorb kind of the iron from animal products a little bit better than plant products. So if someone's vegetarian, they might need different kind of intake of the plant-based foods than if you have kind of meats or in your diet.
And I know when you're pregnant, it jumps up a lot because you're basically feeding for two. So vegetarians, you just brought that up, that's a good one. I mean, you need to get 27 milligrams on average for a person in particular, everybody's different, but 27 milligrams of iron for that. How does a vegetarian do that?
So there's lots of fortified cereal products. Dried beans, you can add that to soups, chilies, dark leafy greens, so kale and spinach, and then dried fruits. So things like raisins, prunes, dried apricots, you know, they can snack on those types of foods.
And then there's one weird, I guess, thing that it comes to. I just mentioned it to you right before we started, pica. When you're craving chalk, dirt, or clay, that's a clear sign.
Right, so that's not, you know, normal to eat non-food products. So that type of craving can be related to low iron levels. So, you know, people may be embarrassed, but you should bring it up during your health visits that, you know, you might be snacking on something. And the ice thing is, you know, chewing on ice all day long, and that, you know, could be a sign there.
And that's good to bring up because a lot of people don't realize, you know what, you're not the only one. You're not weird. A lot of people actually have these weird cravings, these different cravings, and to talk with your physician about it.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And of course, you're going to be staying here. We'll be answering some questions from our viewers after the break. Yeah, right after the break. Dietitian Allison Massey with Mercy is going to be back to take your calls about iron deficiency anemia. If you have a question, our phone lines are open right now. That number right there on the screen, 410-481-4545. You could also send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore or go through our Facebook page. You see it right there, facebook.com/Fox Baltimore. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning. We are back with registered dietitian Allison Massey with Mercy, and we're taking your calls about iron deficiency for our Take Action Thursday. Now, if you have a question, our phone lines are open right now. We want to hear from you, 410-481-4545. You can also send us a tweet at Fox Baltimore or go through our Facebook page. In fact, right now, we have Carmen from Baltimore on the phone. Good morning, Carmen.
Good morning.
So I hear you have a question for Allison.
Yes, I was calling because I have a constant problem with low blood, and I was wondering, should I take an iron supplement? Because I've had a few blood transfusions, but it's like my hemoglobin is still low.
Are you hearing any of that? Okay, Carmen was just saying she had a blood transfusion and her hemoglobin is still low even though she's taking supplements.
Yeah.
Not sure if that diet We'll help her, but maybe you can answer that way.
Sure. So it may. So definitely talk to your physician. When you're choosing iron-rich foods, which we mentioned a few on the segment, make sure you're pairing them with something that's rich in vitamin C. That can really enhance absorption. But certainly if you're having a challenge, you need to just keep the conversation open with your healthcare provider so your needs can be met.
All right, thank you. Carmen, I hope that helps you. And let's go to our Facebook page right now because we had some questions there. April says that I, along with a couple of my nieces, have an obsession with ice. We were just talking about this. They say that is a sign of being anemic. Is that true?
So it can be one of the signs and symptoms, but I think there are people out there that just like to chew on ice. So again, you need to go to your healthcare provider to get blood work drawn to see if you really truly are anemic. But I've talked with many clients that just like to chew on ice and may or may not be anemic.
And when you say blood work, I mean, it's really simple, right? When you go in, they just draw some of your blood and that's it.
Yeah, and that could be during a primary care visit. So, it can be part of the routine care for people.
All right, we have one more question, kind of a comment that brings up a good topic. Kim says, my headache started daily, having been rear-ended in an accident a year ago. They slowly went away, but they started again. I think it's because of the weather change. I go to the doctor soon, and I'm sure he will do a blood test for everything. Then I can see my iron level there. And we were just talking about blood tests, but also she brought up a point, headaches, and we didn't bring that up on that list.
Yeah, so headaches can be one of the signs and symptoms, and normally the body's prioritizing, the brain in terms of getting oxygen, and it still does. But when levels are a little bit lower, there can be some swelling, and people may get more frequent headaches. So
we also said something about paler skin.
Yeah.
And then there was one more that I want to get in real quick. Something about the tongue. Your tongue feels weird?
Yeah, so that's not one that I kind of see commonly, but physicians may kind of deal with that more frequently. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Allison Massey. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Low iron levels, and just by changing our diet, some simple things that are right behind us right here.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.